The fallout is continuing from the tent embassy protest on Australia Day.
For more, Melissa Clark joins us now from Canberra. Melissa, good morning. The federal opposition very keen to keep up the political pressure on the Prime Minister here.
They see that they're managing to make some headway in what had been initially such a positive event for the Prime Minister, in that she was lauded for her handling of the situation. Although it was not the most pleasant of circumstances, she came out of it looking quite good because of her reaction to it and her concern for Tony Abbott. But the opposition has seen in the last few days how the situation has turned on its head entirely, with what we now know, that information that Tony Abbott was there and that Indigenous protesters were alerted to his presence and some of his comments the previous day about the future and the role of the tent embassy. Now, Tony Abbott and the coalition have been calling on the government to refer this incident to the Australian Federal Police, who are of course the local police force here in Canberra, saying that needs to be investigated whether or not any kind of incitement has taken place. Tony Abbott has said he wants to leave it to the Prime Minister to refer it to the Federal Police, saying he thinks she should have the opportunity to do what he says is the honourable thing and have police investigate who knew what when. However, the coalition is expected to refer it to the AFP themselves today, if the Prime Minister hasn't by some time this morning.
And from all of his statements over the weekend, it's very clear, Melissa, that the opposition leader simply doesn't believe that Tony Hodges, the now former press secretary for the Prime Minister involved in this action, acted alone.
The Prime Minister has been adamant in saying that he acted alone, that he didn't do it in consultation with anyone else, that there was no one else involved in this process of this information being passed through something of a chain of Chinese whispers through Canberra. But what the opposition is suggesting, and others are suggesting as well, is that it's highly unlikely that Tony Hodges, who was a junior press secretary, there were several people above him in the communications team, and given that there had been quite a time lapse between Tony Hodges talking to his senior staff, the more senior members than him in that communications team about this issue, and the time lapsed between then and when the Prime Minister was actually informed, has certainly led some to raise their eyebrows and question whether there were more people who were involved or who knew. And now that's partly what Tony Abbott would like to see investigated. The Prime Minister has on multiple occasions over the weekend denied that anyone else was involved, and has not elaborated any further, simply saying he was one person, he acted alone, and he's handed in his resignation, and that it ends there. But the coalition's made it pretty clear they don't think this issue should end there.
No, they don't. And finally, this is an unwanted distraction for Julia Gillard as she attempts to kick off the political year focusing laser-like on the Australian economy.
And Parliament's set to resume next week. There are a lot of big issues in terms of legislation the government wants to deal with. The economy is going to be the dominating issue for 2012. But really, Julia Gillard has stumbled at the start of this year. Not only have we had this fiasco that is clearly going to cause her headaches for some time to come yet, it also comes on top of that rather messy scrapping of the poker machine reform deal with Andrew Wilkie, which didn't see the federal government painted in the best light and has helped reinforce some of the coalition's political arguments that the Labor government can't be trusted when it says it has a policy position or when it makes a deal. So for Julia Gillard, she's certainly battling into the headwinds at the start of 2012.
Melissa Clark in Canberra, thank you.